We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button, share the video if you want to support this college football's rebel outpost with a donation. Help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Alrighty. Well, at some point today, and it's probably going to start off right away. Oh, Stormy Cyclone. Thanks for coming on in. Live from Kansas City. I'm taking a peek around the corner at the basketball court technology. I haven't watched a whole lot of it, but there is some mixed feelings out there, mixed views out there on the courts. I guess there was possibly some slippage due to the court in one of the basketball games, but I'll let Stormy Cyclone report live from Kansas City. Now today, CFP Plus, I think the court is overhated. Could use some work, but is overall pretty cool. Stormy Cyclone gives it a 7. So some room for improvement. Now, at some point today, somebody's going to accuse me of being a Southeastern Conference homer for a couple of different reasons. And I'm not a Southeastern Conference homer. I'm not a SEC lover. In fact, I say boo! Boo! To all the teams in the Southeastern Conference. Now, there are some of them that I boo a little less harder than others. I've always liked Georgia. I've always had a soft heart for Tennessee. But I boo Georgia and I boo Tennessee. Maybe not quite as hard for the other 14 institutions. And I got a little bit of a soft heart for South Carolina. I mean, I got a soft heart, guys. I got a soft heart. So I'm not the cruel guy that you all think I am. But no, I am not a Southeastern Conference homer. I do not root for any of those teams. Boo on all of them. But the reason why I'm going to get accused of being a Southeastern Conference homer during this live show is because I'm going to lavish a lot of praise on the Southeastern Conference quarterbacks. I think the Southeastern Conference quarterbacks from 1 to 16 are the best in the country. Followed by the Big Ten, and the Big 12 is right next to the Big Ten, and then I think there's a big drop-off to the ACC. That is my opinion. Those are my rankings. Take it how you wish. Take it how you wish. But I want to give everybody a warning here. I want to give everybody a warning. I'm going to give you an example. Karan Shakar. I bet Greg has Arch Manning on top of his SEC quarterback rankings. Well, the answer to that is no. And the reason for that is, Shaka, is that this is a different fat guy from Minnesota than last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. No. This is no longer Greg the Cooler. This is Greg the Gold. I'm a year older. I'm a year wiser. I do not have Arch Manning on number 1. I don't have Arch Manning at number 2. I don't have Arch Manning at number 3. How about them apples? Number 1, because once again, I have grown. Well, in more than one way. I've gotten more wisdom. And in the quarterbacks in the SEC, I think the position is absolutely loaded. Like, I've got a guy ranked 16 who might be number 6 or number 5 by the end of the season. I mean, I got guys ranked way in the back who got a whole lot of potential, but I had to rank him in the back because of what the players, the quarterbacks, are up ahead of them. I think the quarterback position is absolutely loaded. The second reason why I'm going to be accused of being a SEC homer. I knew I liked you, Greg. Go Vols. JD Vol 98. I did not say I like the Volunteers. I said I don't quite dislike them as much as 13 of the other SEC teams. So do not get it twisted, my friend. Do not get it twisted. I don't like anybody except for my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. I dislike the Volunteers a little bit less than I do Alabama, than I do Auburn, than I do Kentucky, so on, so forth. So I do not like the Volunteers. The other reason, thank you, Buffs, appreciate it. The other reason I'm going to be accused of being an SEC homer, besides myself lavishing the praise on the SEC, is because I'm going to try to get the point across to everybody. And I'm going to fail. I'm going to absolutely fail. But we all got to be taking this meeting in Nashville seriously. I don't think a lot of people are. I don't think a lot of people are taking this seriously. They think the title of this program is The SEC's Gradual Breakaway is in play. It doesn't mean they have started it yet. Remember, we've got the SEC about 1/3 up the mountain on Silo Mountain. I did some poking and prodding today. I did some phone calls today. Chatter behind the curtain kind of set me in a direction because I'm full of questions. I've been saying, how would this work? And it would not work. And I've been saying a whole lot of things. I've been asking all types of questions. Behind this mic, on the phone, in chats. I was sent a certain direction on what it would possibly look like. What it most likely is going to look like if the SEC does break away. It's going to be a gradual breakaway, I was told. Most likely. And what does that look like? We're going to get into that. But I got to... Look, our Wednesday shows historically are not as big as our other shows during the week. The live shows not as long as the other shows are. We try to pare down the topics. So I've tried to do that today. So again, this ain't, we're gonna have time for phone calls. But basically, we're going to be talking about the SEC in Nashville and the SEC quarterback rankings. We are going to release our quarterback rankings today. I've been told, I do not know this for sure. I've been told that the meeting is not supposed to be today. But that is only coming from one source. And, you got the Southeastern Conference basketball tournament going on in Nashville, and not everybody's there on a Wednesday. It doesn't sound like it's today. Now, keep your head on a swivel and let me know if there's breaking news during the live program. But that is what I was told by one source. Not two, not three, not four, but one. But yeah, it should be taken very, very seriously. And I don't think a lot of people are. I think we are at the precipice of major change in the college sports world if we do not get that SCORE Act passed. And the only way we're going to get that SCORE Act passed if there's a big old compromise landed in the laps of the senators, the Democratic senators, and maybe the Cantwell and the Schmidt bipartisan bill on the Sports Broadcasting Act. You put that, I think the bill is called something Competitiveness Act, whatever. You put that in the SCORE Act, maybe you get the votes. The SCORE Act is supported by all the Power 4 conferences, a whole bunch of other conferences, Division 2, Division 3 conferences, commissioners, administrators. And that's the only show in town. It is the only show in town. That's it. Now you can use that vehicle. You can make it look different than you have it look today. You can throw some more stuff in there, like my Olympic tax idea, which I guess I kind of stole from Bavacqua, and I didn't even know he said what he said. But whatever. Use Bavacqua's Olympic. Whatever you got to throw in there to get the 60 senators and to get it passed in the House, get the SCORE Act passed. So we don't have all these lawsuits and litigation and ripping us up and going in our own silos. And when you get it passed, then 3 or 4 years down the line, we can start looking at something different. But if we do not get this passed, the Southeastern Conference is not bluffing. They're not bluffing. They got the cards. They don't have a 2-7 offsuit. They got double aces. A pair of aces. Taytown Hawk. Yeah, we've got ourselves a super chat. Thank you so very much, kind sir, starting us off. Yeah. Taytown Hawk is absolutely correct. $2 holler. Gradual divorces are only good for lawyers. Fact. Thank you for the $2 holler, Taytown Hawk. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you so very much for your generosity, for your kindness. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Why the gradual? Why not? And maybe it won't. Look, this is the chatter. So in other words, there is not this belief that the SEC would not play anybody else if they go in their own silo. There's not this belief that they would separate themselves immediately from the NCAA. It's just not that. But there is this belief that the SEC, in forming their own rules and enforcement, are going to be setting a standard in which if you don't meet them, then they're going to continue to go and break away. The situation is, as I've been told, the leadership of the Southeastern Conference, they've got to sell their presidents on staying a little bit longer. This is a sales pitch because there are big, powerful people in that big, powerful conference that want to go today. They're ready. And it won't be the gradual divorce. It will be the quick separation. But the gradual divorce, let's take it in steps. That's the best that Sankey and some of those people can do when they're trying to keep all this together. The SCORE Act has to pass. There's no longer a bluffing situation. And I said the Southeastern Conferences they've been at DEF CON 1 for months. We announced it. We had a big show on it. And nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, there's so many people that are not taking it seriously. And maybe people are not taking it seriously Because a lot of people don't, maybe a lot of people think, well, it's better. Go ahead, go, leave us. Go already. Maybe a lot of people are not taking it seriously because they believe that people in the Southeastern Conference really want this to happen. People outside the Southeastern Conference, fans, saying, go ahead, go, we don't need you. So maybe that's why nobody's really taking this seriously, because really nobody cares. But the moment this happens, the moment that there is a gradual break or a quick breakaway from the SEC breaking away from us, the rest of us, the moment that happens, nothing will get easier. Everything will get harder. Just because the Southeastern Conference leaves, it doesn't make it easier for the Big Ten and the ACC and the Big 12 to do some magical solution in which we're all on board and it's all going to work and we're going to get protection from the courts and Congress is going to love us, and that none of that is going to happen. None of that is going to happen. In fact, I've been told the gradual breakaway has already begun. Nobody wants to use that term. The SEC keeps looking, the schools, the athletic directors, they keep canceling this game and that game and that game and this game, and that series might be canceled, the Buckeyes and Crimson Tide and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't get any easier if they begin the gradual breakaway. And I mean the SEC. Nothing gets easier. In fact, I'm going to argue it gets a whole lot scarier. It gets a whole lot scarier. And there are some people that have picked up on it. There's some people that acknowledge it. And I'm going to give you one name, this person is suddenly one of the most unpopular people out there, and that's Brett Yormark. Brett Yormark knows that this would be terrible for the Big 12. He gets it. That's why he's not throwing bombs out there. All right, we'll get to it. We will get to it. Meeting Nashville. The gradual breakaway is in play. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. What that looks like. All right. First of all, let's do a roll call here. Again, Wednesday shows, not as long or as big as all of our other shows because I've got a lot of commitments on a Wednesday evening. Karan Shakar is in the house. MBM Oklahoma State Cowboy, go Pokes. Preston from Greensboro, the Gator Boy, stay hot. Adam is in the house. Gator Boy, Caleb Ramirez, Buckeye Boy. Jose, fight on, boy. Real Madrid leading 3-0 over Manchester City. Holy smokes. CFP Plus is in the house. Taylor on the tube. Go Pokes. We got a lot of Cowboys. Bimba 75. 79. Michigan Wolverine. 1 silo with 16 warheads. Absolutely. Stephen Vitt, woohoo! More talk about silos and maybe cheeseburgers. Ohio Bobcats. Stephen Vitt is in the house. Rich Austin is here. Greg is an SEC homer. I knew someone would say that. Thank you, CFB Plus. Mayor McCheese is in the house. Preston from Greensboro. Greg is an SEC homer. Greg loves Texas. Outlaw Skis. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. D5 Terps. Mr. Maryland Terrapin. Greg is a closet Ohio State fan. No. No. No, I am not. No, I am not. JD Vole is in the house. Jimmy Austin, the Duck, is here. I am not a closet Duck fan, especially after you wasted us on the football field last year. The Ducks clowned our butts. RFR Mac is in the house. G. Brew. The SEC had to be dragged into playing a full conference schedule. Now they want to play 12 games. That's a great comment. Although, first of all, the SEC wanted to make sure they got paid more. And then ESPN made that commitment. So that helped the 9-conference schedule argument within the conference. The other thing, if you go into a breakaway, the bowl games, that whole world is going to change. But again, like the title of the show indicates, the chatter behind the curtain today let me know that it would be more of a gradual breakaway at this point. In the gradual breakaway, and I'll give you a little bit of a hint of what that means is when we get to it. The gradual breakaway is they're not cutting themselves off from everybody, at least at first, when it comes to playing football games. At first, the gradual breakaway. Thank you, G. Brew, for coming on in. Appreciate it. The other guy, Gax, is in the house. Mr. Mountaineer. Thank you for coming on in, Daniel. I appreciate it. Amazing Blue, another Michigan Wolverine. Hoosier Dave. Hoosier Dave is in the house. The SEC is full of poverty schools with a couple of big budget teams, so let them go and they can have a couple of repeating jobs. Going to have to disagree with Hoosier Dave. The SEC is not full of poverty schools. I think that has been way overblown. Comparatively speaking, the SEC is extremely, extremely healthy. And again, I'm going to get accused of being an SEC homer. So I better be quiet. John Dry is in the house. Mick Stevens, Go Frogs, is here. Jansen Roberts. OBD Don is in the house, and he's got a super chat. My goodness. OBD Don, take as much time as you need, homie, to explain this today. Okay, homie. He. Now, do you want me to take my time in explaining the SEC quarterback rankings, or the gradual breakaway is in play? Let me know either way, Opie. I am going to take my time on the quarterback rankings because, as you know, Opie, I have broken down the tapes. I have tried to eliminate my biasness going into these rankings because some of these quarterbacks completely screwed with me last year. Some of these SEC quarterbacks made me look like a fool last year, Arch Manning. But I try to eliminate I tried to eliminate all the trauma that has been caused in my brain by these SEC quarterbacks. And I think you're going to find these SEC rankings absolutely beautiful. And when it comes to your LSU Tigers, when it comes to your purple and gold, I think you're going to like the rankings of PATC. And Opie knows that I know. That he knows that I know. That we all know. 2026. You know it. I know it. It's going to happen. My picks, my winning percentage against the spread is going to match Daniel Gygax, the Mountaineer Genius. It's going to happen. Let's go. Okay, enough of that. People don't want to see me dance. They do not want to hear me sing. Thank you, OPD Dunn, so much for your $25 holler. I very much appreciate it. Vox Quindaro's in the house. Thank you, Opie. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much kindly. I appreciate it. Vox Quindaro is in the house. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Oh boy, we got a hot guy. Another program that has been whooping my Gophers. Village Idiot is in the house. Gradual and Lose the Tape. The Nuts Bus made me look like Baba. Well, I like you. Look, Nessmeyer was a gutsy quarterback. He was a gamer. But the quarterback you have this year has got the skills. Now, Don Scruggs, I don't think you're going to be too disappointed in what I've done with Gunnar Stockton. I don't think you're going to be too disappointed. The other guy got Greg. Does the Gophers know you're cheating on them with the SEC? I don't cheat on my Gophers. I do not cheat on my Gophers. I just happen to know, I can acknowledge beauty outside of the maroon and gold. I can acknowledge beauty outside of the maroon and gold. That's what I can do. That's what I can do. Buckeye Greg is in the house. The other guy, Gax, just follow my picks. No, I'm not going to do that. Greg Mush Flugar. All right, let's get into it, guys. Let's get into it. Forecast for today. Wow. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Wow. MBM. Unbelievable. All right. Big Gun Shop is in the house. Thank you for coming on in. Rod, thank you. George Parrott, thank you. Appreciate it. Ron Horton, the heart wants what the heart wants. I do not want SEC. I do not want SEC. But, ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about this a couple weeks ago. My theory on the SEC getting off the mat this year, in large part, but not in total, but in large part, has to do with the incredible quarterbacks that they have, experience elite quarterbacks that the conference has. Now, this is my 13 through 16. And a lot of you are going to laugh at me. And that's fine. I can take it. Put in the comments. Let me know how wrong I got it once again. Of course, the super chat supersede the other comments and phone calls. When you call later in the show, the floor is yours. You can talk about anything you want in college football. You're going to laugh at my number 16. Because there's a really good chance this young man is not going to be the 16th best quarterback in the SEC by the end of the year. He's going to be probably in the top 9, top 8, possibly. So you're going to laugh. But let me explain. I couldn't move him up. I could not move him up. Here we go. Number 16, the 5-star Jared Curtis. Now, maybe. Here's the thing. I like Aaron Philo, Florida Gators. Look, guys, I like that guy. I think he's got a whole lot of talent. I think the Gators have got themselves a quarterback. Now, Greg, how could you possibly believe that? The guy has barely played. Coming from Georgia Tech. The young man The young man was a Gopher commit at one point. And then when he went to Georgia Tech, he broke our hearts. I watched the tape, the high school tape of Aaron Philo. The kid controlled the football. And it does not surprise me. It does not surprise me in the least that the Gators' new head coach said, let's go get this guy. So he's number 13. Now, 14, 15, and 16. It probably will be George McIntyre versus their freshman quarterback that's coming on in. It probably is going to be KJ Jackson, although the Memphis starting quarterback, I can't remember his first name, Hill, had a very good season last year, was the quarterback for Silverfield, who's the new head coach coming from Memphis to Arkansas. I do think that KJ Jackson is probably going to be the starter. I got Jared Curtis at 16. Should have had him at 14? Maybe. Could have had him at 15? Possibly. But I wanted to give the edge to George McIntyre's second year. KJ Jackson has been around for a long time. So that's 16, 15, 14, and 13. Number 12, Austin Simmons. I don't know about him. He did not look all that good. I mean, he was okay at Ole Miss until he got injured and Trinidad Chambliss took over. I could not put him ahead of Mr. Taylor. Camario Taylor, Mississippi State. The time that Mr. Taylor played, he got nicked up at the end of the season last year. Man, when he ran that football, he could make a couple throws. He's a little bit of a dynamite there at Mississippi State. And again, my beloved Golden Gophers have to play Mississippi State at home September 12th. The second game of the season is going to be Lindsey versus Taylor. I got Taylor ahead of Simmons. And I don't know if a lot of you are going to agree with that, but that's what I got. Keelan Russell, I could not go any further than 10. I just could not do it. He's getting challenged by Austin Mack, but Russell probably is going to get to start. You know, Russell has that big arm that Kalen DeBoer loved at Washington, and he finally gets it with Russell. Russell might be the top 6-7 quarterbacks at the end of the season, but I could not put him higher than number 10 because I really like Kenny Minchey. I talked about Kenny Minchey. Really impressed with the dude. Really impressed with the dude. He was very good at Notre Dame spring football. He's been very good at Notre Dame. He almost won the starting job over C.J. Carr. And I got C.J. Carr as if I had him in the ACC rankings, I would have even had him ahead of Darren Mensah. Mensah number 2, Carr number 1. If I would have included Notre Dame in the ACC quarterback rankings. And Kenny Minchey was just an inch below C.J. Carr. So the only reason I got him at number 9 is he hasn't played a lot of football. But Kenny Minchey is the real deal Holyfield. And with Kentucky's new head coach coming from Oregon, Now, Byron Brown, a lot of people have Byron Brown higher on this list. CBS has Byron Brown as the number 5 SEC quarterback. Great career at USF. There is a lot to like on Byron Brown. He would be higher ranked in the other conferences than number 8. 1 through 8, the SEC no question has the top 8 if you compare the top 8 quarterbacks of any power conferences, I think SEC has the best 8. John Mateer, number 7. Oklahoma Sooners playoffs, a clunky offense. Not a whole lot of fault with John Mateer, some, but John Mateer is number 7. Highly skilled John Mateer. Led the Oklahoma Sooners to the 8th seed. Playoffs at home at Norman. They lost to Alabama. I got them at number 7. Marcel Reed gets a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Number 6 for Texas A&M. Led the Aggies to the playoffs. Number 5, Lenore Sellers. Now, I want to talk about Lenore Sellers here. Not all that good of a year last year. A lot of it wasn't his fault. I do believe some of it was. The Gamecocks, again, not a very good offensive line, which has been the story there for a long time. Lenore Sellers, though, look, I'm not going to give him a pass on it. He took a lot of sacks. He should have gotten rid of the football. He got the offense behind with the chains. And Lenore Sellers, for whatever reason, did not do the off-schedule running plays where he bailed out the Gamecocks offense by running it downfield. Lenore Sellers played a little bit more conservative in the running game. I expect with the new offensive coordinator, I believe Lenore Sellers, he's got his prime receiver back. South Carolina's got their number 1 receiver back. They've got their quarterback back. They've got their defensive end, Dylan Stewart, back. South Carolina cannot go 4-8 this year. They can't go 5-7 this year. They can't go 6-6 this year, or Shane Beamer will be gone. Lenore Sellers should be a top 5 quarterback in the SEC this year, because Lenore Sellers should be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL draft next year. So I had to put Lenore Sellers ahead of Marcel Reed and John Mateer. Number 4, Arch Manning. I think Arch Manning is absolutely terrific. And he showed it at the end of the season last year. He's going to have a great 2026. Texas and Ohio State are my top 2 picks to win the national championship. Right now, I got them do-si-doing each other. I think the world of Arch Manning, even though he made me look like a fool last year. But he was not the only one. Arch Manning, number 4. The SEC quarterback position is absolutely loaded. John Mateer playoffs, Marcel Reed playoffs, Gunnar Stockton playoffs. They're all coming back this year. Lenore Sellers 2 years ago led South Carolina to the 9-3 record before they lost to Illinois. Lenore Sellers is an elite quarterback. You got Byron Brown, number 8, who's probably top 2 quarterback in the G6 last year. Number 3, Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton. He's better than the offense. There's something wrong with Georgia's offense. And if they do it right, Gunnar Stockton should not be at New York City at the end of the year. It should be their running back, Nate Frazier. And I got something to show you guys here about Georgia here in a minute. We'll get to Georgia. We'll get to Auburn. Something I want to show you guys, a graphic about their offenses. But Gunnar Stockton, great athlete, good runner of the football. I just hope their offense can be a lot more efficient this year. Now, the top two quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference. This was a tough one for me. That I had to go Sam Levitt 2, Trinidad Chambliss number 1. And you all know how much I love Sam Levitt. It took him 1 year. Michigan State to Arizona State, led the Sun Devils to the playoffs. He's got the arm, he's got the vision, he's got the poise in the pocket. He can take off and run. He got nicked up last year. Sam Levitt with Lane Kiffin and that defense that they're rebuilding. All the money they have spent at LSU, Cam Coleman's Texas, excuse me. Sam Levitt is going to have a monster of a season. Monster of a season. But I could not put him at number 1. Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss. What he done last year for the Rebels, for the football program, for the fan base, electrified the fan base, electrified everything. He was unbelievable last year. And he didn't even start the season at the starter. Now, Christopher Hooter does not like the fact that Chambliss is number 1 because he's a little bit older. But again, I have to do my rankings by who is playing, and it's Trinidad Chambliss. Number 1. Sam Levitt, number 2. Gunnar Stockton, number 3. Arch Manning, number 4. Lenore Sellers, number 5. Marcel Reed, number 6. John Mateer, number 7. Number 8, Byron Brown, Auburn. Number 9, Kenny Minchie, Kentucky. Keelan Russell, Alabama. Kamario Taylor, Mississippi State. Austin Simmons, Missouri. Philo, which I'm a big fan of, Florida. George McIntyre, Tennessee. KJ Jackson, Arkansas. And the young stud, the true freshman, Jared Curtis, Vanderbilt. All right. I want to show you guys something here. All right. Don Scruggs, Georgia offense will be elite this year, no doubt. Okay. Can I show you guys something? Am I allowed to show you guys something? I'm going to show you a graphic that indicates teams who have last had a 1,000-yard receiver during the season. So think back. When was the last time your team had a 1,000-yard receiver during the season? Was it last year? Was it the year before? Was it the year before? Was it the year before that? Was it 2019? Was it 2018? Was it 2017? I'm going to show you guys something. I think some of it is going to be absolutely shocking. Shocking results. Shocking results. We got another super chat from the incredible, generous OB, D. Don, the purple and gold. Woo! Boy. OPD done. $10 holla. I believe the and others, which is coming from Heather Dinrich, paragraph reporting on what the Mississippi State president had to say about their meeting in Nashville, which we're going to talk about, which we don't believe it has happened yet. We don't think it's happening this Wednesday. We could be absolutely wrong. But the one source believed it wasn't happening today because not everybody is in on a Wednesday. That's what he believes. It could be wrong. We could be wrong. We could have breaking news during the live show. Just telling you what we think. We don't think it's happening today. All right? OPD done, I believe, and the others comment is code for whoever is coming to join our conference. This is going to be the rules you must and will follow. Just my observation. If it is code, it's got to be an internal code because they can't be, they can't be. I think it was another warning shot. Absolutely, it was another warning shot. A leaked warning shot, on purpose warning shot, but I don't think the warning shot included and others that we're going to, it's part of, when we're going to get into it here, it's part of the gradual breakaways in play. The SEC is going to play it like, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Thank you for the $10 holler, OP. I very much appreciate it. But you know what? There are probably people that agree with you, OP. There are probably people that absolutely agree with you. Thank you so much, OP. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity. I'm very, very humbled. Thank you very much. Alex Armistead, thank you for coming on in. Alex, appreciate it. VB Holkey, thank you for coming on in. VB Holkey is already laughing at my SEC rankings. Already laughing at my SEC rankings. Okay, let me show you guys something here. North Carolina State, the last wide receiver that they had got 1,000 yards receiving was 2018. Daniel Gygax is absolutely correct. West Virginia was 2017. It's been a while. But there's a whole bunch of other programs that have been back of that. UCLA, 2017. Virginia Tech, 2016. The Texas A&M, 2016, does not surprise me in the least. There is no program in the nation. If you look at their wide receiving, if you look at the Texas A&M wide receiving production versus the recruiting rankings for that unit, there is no unit in the country that has underperformed their recruiting rankings than the Texas A&M wide receivers. And a lot of that lays at the feet of Jimbo Fisher. And now you got Mike Elko. But Jimbo Fisher, that's why I'm always, sometimes you hear that Florida State wants to bring back Jimbo Fisher, and I'm like, the game has completely passed them by. You do not have 4 or 5 years with wide receivers to show them, to teach them, to develop them under your crazy route trees that Jimbo Fisher designs for his football programs. You do not have that time anymore. Anyways, I'll get off that soapbox. Texas A&M 2016 does not surprise me in the bit. Northwestern 2016. Last time they had a 1,000-yard receiver. Wildcats 2014. Wisconsin 2013. It don't surprise me in the least bit. Vanderbilt 2013. Utah 2013. Michigan 2013. Well, Michigan, I don't know, man. When we do the Spotlight series on Michigan, we're going to talk about the wide receiver room at Ann Arbor. Iowa Hawkeyes, 2011. No surprise. Cincinnati, 2010. Kansas, 2009. Georgia Tech, 2009. Georgia, 2002. No wide receivers with 1,000 yards in a season at Georgia since 2002. Florida, 2002. Auburn, 1999. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. So there it is. I just wanted to show you that. Just wanted to show you that graphic. It kind of, I don't know what it says. It says something. I just don't know what. Okay, guys. Let's just talk a little bit about this Nashville meeting. And we've got a super chat here. Jacoba Cat, Iowa Hawkeye. Holy smokes. Jacoba Cat, $5 holla. That's SEC lipstick on Greg's collar. He's Ted Cartering Drake Lindsay and the PATC family for the SEC. Thank you for the $5 holla, Jacoba Cat. I think you've done a good job at putting it all together in a super chat on why we all believed, we all believed that I was going to be accused of being an SEC homer before the end of this live show. Because I think the Southeastern Conference is going to get off the mat, and the number one reason is because of the great lineup of quarterbacks in the SEC. And I don't see anybody in the chat room going, Greg. The Big Ten quarterbacks from top to bottom are better. The Big 12 quarterbacks from top to bottom are better. And the ACC quarterback rankings, big, massive drop-off between the SEC and the ACC. Thank you for the $5 holler, Jacoba Cat. We got another super chat from Mr. Iowa Hawkeye. Wisconsin needs Bielema. Wisconsin doesn't need anything. Leave Wisconsin alone. Don't change anything. Luke Fickell, head coach? Good. You want to bring in that Colston, that little running quarterback, dynamic, Good. Keep doing what you're doing, Wisconsin. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't say anything, Hawkeye. And then we'll just keep the axe in Minnesota. Thank you for the $2 holler. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so very much, Jacoba Cat. Appreciate it very much. And we've got Opie. We've got another super chat from the Purple and Gold. From the Purple and Gold. Godfather, what is scary to me is you read my comment and knew exactly what I was saying. So you have graduated from the University of Opie Speak. And that should scare you. You are correct. That should terrify you. It should terrify you, and it should terrify all your loved ones. Because if the loser, the reelected loser, the reelected mayor, excuse me, talking about Opie Speak, the reelected mayor of Loserville City, the original Minnesota moron, understands your speak, that should absolutely make you run for the hills of Baton Rouge. I don't think you have hills. I think you've got more valleys. But anyways, thank you, OBD Don. I appreciate your $5 holler. I very much appreciate it. Thank you, Opie. SCC supports Drake Lindsay. You know, Don Scruggs, I give him a lot of elbows. But at least Don Scruggs is intelligent enough, has a high enough football IQ to know that Drake Lindsay is the real deal Holyfield. Thank you, Don Scruggs, for putting intelligence into the chat room. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Dalvin Cook was not a wide receiver. The last time a wide receiver ran for 1,000 yards. I think that is what the graphic is. I think that is what the graphic means. I believe so. I think so. Anyways, okay, let's get to the thank you guys. I very much appreciate it. Let's just get to the meeting. Okay, so SEC meeting in Nashville, according to Heather Dinich, according to Mississippi State's president. We went over that yesterday. And again, our Wednesday shows are not as big. They don't go as for long. But I wanted to talk about this because I believe this is going to be the calm before the storm. So let's just talk about this one more time before we all lose it. Wisconsin will win the Axe back. Greg, did you get the email I sent? No, I did not. I will check again at the end of this program, but I did not receive an email from you, Ryan Willett. I will check again, though. The email that you got is usually the one I use for business. It fills up really quick because all of my conversation, I shouldn't be saying that. Forget everything I said. I will check, Evil Badger. I will check on that. Thank you for the $5 holler, though. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much, Evil Badger. I will get to your email, and Wisconsin will win the Axe back. No. Not quite. All right. Alex Armistead. Greg, do you think Kyle Whittingham will save the Michigan's football program? I don't think the Michigan football program needs saving. They haven't dropped to the bottom. They had a scandal. I don't think Sharon was the right guy anyways for many reasons. Whittingham is going to help. This year, we're going to talk about it later in the offseason. And we talked about it before Bryce Underwood's freshman season. He did not have the tools around him. They did not get the most out of Bryce Underwood. And I don't think that was Bryce Underwood's fault. Now, Whittingham is going to make, a new head coach, an incredible, successful coach. It's going to be very interesting. It's too bad that Bryce Underwood, second year at Michigan, now he's got to have this big old turnover. But it might be for the better. It probably is going to be for the better. But who are the players around Bryce Underwood at the wide receiver position at Michigan? We're going to talk about it. But do I think Michigan is going to make the playoffs this year? No, I don't. No, I don't. I got Oregon, I got Ohio State, I got USC, and then I got Indiana battling for the playoff spot, and I don't think Michigan's going to get there. I think Michigan has to worry about the Minnesota Golden Gophers when Michigan comes to Huntington Bank Stadium. I think they're coming to Minnesota. Get ready to give over the Little Brown Jug. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I do think Michigan is going to have a decent season with a shot at the playoffs. No question about it. No question about it. No playoffs and Underwood to the portal. Could be. Greg, are you going to talk about SEC's 2026 silo conference scheduling? No, because there's not going to be a 2026 silo conference scheduling. Maybe a 2027. Okay, all right, let's get to it. Thank you, Evil Badger. Appreciate it, my friend. I'll check the email. Okay, the meeting. So here is what the direction that I was pulled and pushed towards when it comes to the belief among the chatter behind the curtain, the reporting industry in college football. Number one, all this is serious. Like, this is not a fake bluff. Greg Sankey is playing the good cop. And there's a whole lot of people in the SEC that are going to be playing the bad cop. Eventually, the SEC presidents are going to call the shot on this. But right now, the SEC is putting forward a more kinder, gentler face than what is really going on within the conference. Greg Sankey is going to continue to communicate. We need to have relationships. We're going to have dialogue. And we got to get the SCORE Act passed. Let's all kumbaya together. But if that doesn't happen, if the SCORE Act doesn't pass, then the SEC Gradual Breakaway is in play. And this is what it consists of. If the SEC decides that they're going to go their own way in announcing their own rules and announcing their own enforcement arm and appeal process and policies towards eligibility, transfer portal, rev share, NIL. If the SEC does all of this, the thought, and I think, and I believe that the chatter behind the curtain at this point believes it's going to be a gradual breakaway plan, is because I think they've been leaked this, or some of them have, or at least the person that I'm talking to, is because, so the SEC will then stop short of going the full breakaway right off the bat. Because that is a lot in itself. What I just said is a lot in itself. And there's going to be political blowback. There's going to be community blowback. There's going to be Power 4 conference blowback. Just doing that alone, there's going to be things that they're going to have to go through. Making your own rules, enforcement arm, policy on just about everything. But the SEC at that point is not looking to break away from the NCAA. Well, in essence, they are breaking away from the NCAA, but they're not breaking away from playing Big Ten, ACC schools, and Big 12 schools. They're not looking to do that, not right away. But they're going to, that and others part, that OPD Dunn talked about, that and others part, that Heather Dinich talked about in the paragraph report from Mississippi State President. The SEC is willing to form their own rules, talk about it, and then talk about it with others outside of the conference to see if anybody else in their conferences are interested in forming the same policies as the SEC, but the other conferences then would also do it alone, govern their own, enforce their own rules. But they would still play games against each other. They would still have the college football playoffs. All of that would still be alive. For now. The next phase of the gradual breakaway is if they do decide to do all that. If the SCORE Act doesn't pass and the SEC presidents all jump on board to govern themselves, the next stage, the next phase is to see if anybody is actually following their rules, enforcing their rules, punishing those that are breaking the rules. And if it's not happening, if the other conferences don't write rules up, or if they do write rules up that undercut the SEC's rules, if that happens, then the SEC will take the next step of a complete and utter breakaway and form their own, not only their own silo, but their own universe. That is what the chatter behind the curtain believes is what is going on in Nashville, Tennessee. The gradual breakaway. They're not going to go out with that term. But they're not going to cut everybody off on day one. But make no mistake about it. This is a silo meeting because the end game is the SEC going in their own silo. If things do not change, if there is no governance, there is not. Now, we've had a couple of national reporters, regional reporters, talk about how the SEC's talking about this. They're strategizing. Ross Dellinger has said, President Moorhead has said his things, President of Georgia, we're serious about this. Some of us want to break away right now and all that. There is not one national reporter, not one regional reporter, nobody in front of the microphone, nobody in front of the camera, nobody is saying that this is a bluff. Nobody wants to go out there and say, nah, they're not going to happen. This ain't going to happen. The SEC, they've said this. No, that's not going on. This is a serious plan by the SEC. A serious plan of a gradual breakaway at this point. If the SCORE Act doesn't pass. and this is my opinion, but I think it's my opinion, but it's shared by a lot of people. If we go into our own silos, if we go into our own universe, it's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to hurt the sport. It's going to hurt the Southeastern Conference the least. And it's going to hurt the Big Ten the second least. It's really going to hurt the ACC. It's really going to hurt the Big 12. It's really going to hurt G6 programs. And you can disagree with me. Put in the comments section. Put in the super chat. Give me a call and let me know how wrong I got it. We got to get the SCORE Act passed. We got to get 60 senators on board. More compromise, more compromise, more compromise. Does the Maria Cantwell and the Schmidt, the senator, Missouri, can that compromise, that Competitiveness Act, if they introduce that bill and if it gets attached to the SCORE Act, where conferences and schools have the option of pooling their media rights together, is that enough to get 60 senators? Because if you do not get the 60 senators, there is no more cards to play. That Heather Dinich paragraph where she said the SEC is all fed up, the status quo won't work, 100%. They're not going to do this over and over and over again. And neither is the Big Ten, by the way. Not going to get everybody together, settle on rules, and then have them all picked apart by the courts. And then nobody follows the rules anyways. And a CBA, there is no support for a CBA from anywhere. The commissioners, the athletic directors, talking to the student athletes, the coaches, most of the student athletes don't want anything to do with a CBA. And a lot of the top athletes would only get a CBA would hurt their earnings, not help them. But the grand majority of the student athletes do not want a CBA. The students, none of the schools want their student athletes to become employees. Not one school. And we've got states that don't even allow public employees to unionize. We are so far away from a CBA, it doesn't matter if Danny White talks about it from time to time. It doesn't matter if you have lawyers on X talking about the greatness of a CBA and everything else should just burn down until we get to a CBA. We do not have the time. And as I said to my friends, as I explained it to my friends, if we want a CBA, which by the way is what I wanted, the very first episode that I ever did on this YouTube channel, I talked about the need for a CBA. But I've come to learn there's no juice behind it. None. If you want a CBA, I would encourage, for those who want a collective bargaining agreement where labor has representative, they're at the bargaining table, I would encourage they have a small victory first. A CBA with 138 football programs, 138 universities in so many different states, it ain't going to happen. Have that small victory. If we go into our silos, which I don't want to happen, but if we go in our own silos, a conference, and let's just take the Big 12, for example. The Big 12, if you want to do a CBA, do the CBA. Have each Big 12 school agree that their student athletes will become employees of the university or the conference. Have your student athletes somehow educate them, whatever you want to do. Give them a few beers. No. whatever you have to do to get them to say, oh yeah, we do want this. And then pass it. And then execute it. And if it works great for the Big 12, other conferences will follow. But the problem is, there's not one school. There is nobody in the chat room. Nobody in the chat room. None of your schools want your student athletes to become employees. Not one of them. So how in the hell are you going to get a CBA? The student athletes don't want them. And if on the flip side of the SCORE Act, it's not what the SCORE Act is not what it doesn't fulfill all of our wants, but maybe it fulfills our needs. The SCORE Act, in which a lot of people like to throw bombs at, the SCORE Act is supported by all Power 4 conferences. All these small conferences in Division 1. Division 2 and Division 3 conferences. You've got black colleges. You've got colleges, Ivy League. You've got all these people supporting it because they know they've got to get something passed because our athletics have to have some antitrust exemption. We are at the precipice. We need it. Or the lawyers are just going to keep going and going and going. The court, blah, 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 blah. And the cost to all of this litigation. So the SCORE Act has to pass. It has to pass. If it doesn't pass, if it don't pass, well, there is the picture. And the ramifications of that happening. Is going to be something else. Jose, fight on. If the SEC rules zero transfers allowed and $500,000 salary cap per player, why would parents let their kid become an indentured servant in the SEC? Well, first of all, the SEC, well, I know what you're saying. I know you're going to the extreme to make a point, Jose, and I appreciate it. But the SEC, if they go their own rules, either that salary cap is going to be extremely high or they're not going to have a salary cap at all. The SEC is not going to undercut themselves. The SEC is not going to, they're going to make that cap really, really, really high. Or there's not going to be a cap. Now, the transfer stuff, they might be more narrow on that. Absolutely. Because they want to keep that talent in, and that might not hurt their recruiting. If they allow only one transfer. If you join a SEC school, you're joining the conference bylaws, the rules, one transfer allowed. That's just my take. Again, NLRB can unilaterally label them employees. They're not going to do that now, though. They're not going to do that next year. They're not going to do that next year. Maybe they will if the next president is President Harris or President Newsom or if it's a Democrat, maybe the NLRB board gets changed. Or maybe. But that's it. We're out of time. We're out of time. And even in that, look, you can't bring labor to the collective bargaining table if they don't want to come. I asked the question, when has a CBA ever happened when management is wanting one when labor doesn't? It doesn't happen. I mean, to get to that point, to get to the collective bargaining table for most of our labor, we've had to work for it for years. We've had to do all this stuff. We finally leverage or get them to... We're out of time. We're out of time on this. I believe the children are our future. Let them learn and lead the way. Okay, we're going to open up the phone lines here. We are going to open up the phone lines. Let me know how wrong I got it once again. But we've got a super chat. First of all, we got a super chat from Jacoba Cat, the Iowa Hawkeye. Holy smokes. Michigan will beat the Buckeyes. Aliens will harvest our consciousness. The SEC and the Big Ten will unite. The Gophers will lose Floyd. Aliens will make you think their squid bodies are hot by adjusting our hormones. Jacoba Cat, other than you being 0 for 1, 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 4, other than you being 0 for 5 in your comments, I do appreciate the creative super chat. Thank you so much for the $10 holla, Jacoba Cat. But Michigan's not going to beat the Buckeyes. Aliens do not harvest our consciousness, but they do harvest the bovine's blood. They harvest the cow's blood because that bovine blood helps their crafts go supersonic speed. And I don't have enough time to explain all that. I do not have enough time to explain all that. But that's why you see in the state of Oregon and other states, other parts of the country, the world, that's why you see these animals having certain parts carved out of them with no suspect in jail after decades of this happening. But I'm not going to go any more than that because I don't want you guys to call somebody, send them to Minnesota, and put me in a foam padded room. Anyway, thank you, Jacoba Cat. Very much appreciated, sir. Okay, before we get too much off the beaten path, let's go to the phone calls so you guys can tell me how wrong I am on the SEC breakaway plans and my SEC quarterback rankings. The floor is yours, 763-260-1333-76. 763-260-1333. I apologize, Tommy.
From
Rick?
Rick, the floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. The rankings weren't bad. I'm kind of okay with them.
Okay, I appreciate that. Greg the Gold.
Well, you can flip 2 and 3, and you can flip 8 and 7, but no, you're all right.
All right, I do appreciate it.
You don't watch the Monty show, is that correct?
The who show?
Monty.
I've watched a couple parts of it a couple years ago. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Okay, I don't watch it often, but if there's a headline, the text of the show is something to draw me in, it will. And today it did, because he was talking about the SEC and the Big Ten getting together on the headline. So, you fast forward ahead an hour into the show to get to the subject. But basically, he said something, and I wanted to know if you've heard anything of it, or if you might know somebody who knows anything of it. But what he said was he used to work for ESPN.
Yeah.
That he had said before. He's a former, whatever that means. I mean, he could sweep floors at ESPN.
Yeah.
But he mentioned that the meeting in D.C.
Yeah.
that on Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that weekend, the Big Ten and the SEC were talking to one another the way they did when the Joint Advisory Group existed.
Yep.
You agree with that?
I've heard the same thing. Yes, they met, they talked. I don't know what they talked about, but I heard that they met and talked. Yep.
But that's huge.
Yeah, I've not been able to get to the point of what they talked about, though. I heard that they met prior to that meeting at the round table. But that door hasn't been open to me.
Well, to pass on his rumor or whatever it was that they were working out ideas on the future of the two.
Mm-hmm.
What they had in common, what they didn't have in common.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a our silo, your silo type of situation.
I don't want to. How do I say this? I don't want to.
I don't want to send you down a rabbit hole about something.
I'm already down the rabbit hole. I was told that they met before the roundtable, but that was all I've been told, and that's not enough for me to even, But I will say the Monty show. I don't know when it was, about a year ago, had an exclusive that Fox and ESPN and the Big Ten and the SEC were supporting the Super League idea of 70 teams. And I wrote Monty something on X. I said, whoever your source is on that is completely, so he's gone from one extreme to the next. Now, sometimes you go from one extreme to the next on a certain subject because you've got a better source or you were just wrong, and that happens to me too. So maybe he's on something. Maybe he's on to something now.
He's a Notre Dame fan, so that may have been a Rudy thing.
You're correct. That might have been. He might have gotten a bad, but that never was the case. That just wasn't
right.
So
but Swarbuck was, the inventor of Rudy Tooty, and
Swarbrick was. But yeah, I understand.
Yep.
So, I get it. Yep. So it's interesting. I don't know anything. I don't have any further. I will confirm what Monty is saying, though. Big Ten and SEC, they met before the roundtable, but that was it. I don't know anything else. And Rick, if we go back in time here, we do know that the SEC and the Big Ten and Notre Dame met in meetings when they had threatened the breakaway if they did not get their playoff format power and the distribution money at a certain percentage. So they've had these talks before amongst themselves. So, but go ahead, sir.
Right. No, and you're correct, and it doesn't always lead to major changes. It doesn't always lead to earthquakes.
Per Ross Dellinger. Okay, guys, if you want to Google it, you can Google it. But per Ross Dellinger, we had a whole live show on it. We had a week full of content just based on that one report. But thank you, Rick.
Okay, thanks for taking the call.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate the call, my man. Beautiful call. Interesting. Rick has always got something interesting. I'll take a look at it. We've got a bunch of super chats here. Very kind super chats. I very much appreciate it. Um,
From
Town Hawk.
Town Hawk, can you hold on for just one moment, please?
Sure thing, Greg.
I do appreciate it. I got to get caught up. People are being very generous. They've got comments they want to make. We've got the Evil Badger $5 holla. Evil Badger. With players playing musical schools, how can they decide who gets in the College Football Hall of Fame? Well, just vote on the Gophers, Evil Badger. Just vote on the Golden Gophers. Thank you, Evil Badger. Thank you for the $5 holla. What uniforms, what schools do the players represent if they go into the College Football Hall of Fame? Very good question, Evil Badger. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your friendship. Very much appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Chocobra Cat, Iowa Hawkeye, $2 holla. $2 holla. Greg has strange thoughts when he drives past cows. Well, ask yourself the following question. You've had all these cows cut open by something, somebody, somewhere, drain of blood at a certain part of their body, and nobody has been caught yet for doing this. Why is that? Why is that? It's not done by an animal. It's not done by bacteria. There's a laser cut in these animals. There's only one answer. There's only one answer. Thank you, Chocobra Cat. Thank you so very much. We got Kenneth Maynard, $10 holla. If the SEC went into a silo and went 12 conference games, they would have to take UNC, NC State, UVA, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Florida State due to state laws legislating them to play each other if they expand. Holy smokes, Kenneth Maynard. Holy smokes. Well, maybe they won't go to 12 conference games. But then again, if they go their own silo and it's completely permanent, that is something that we're going to have to consider, Kenneth Maynard, as a possibility. Wow. Thank you for the $10 holler. That is a lot to think about. State laws legislating them to play each other. All right, sir. Caller, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. The floor is yours. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard.
Thanks, Greg. Actually, I had a couple of different things I wanted to talk about. A little bit about the thing from yesterday on Your Mark, also on the Matt Hayes thing, and then the last thing I'm going to wind up is talking to you, and you might not be happy with me, but I'm going to start off good. Your Mark, I understand the pushback from people. You know, not every idea he's going to have is liked, and he actually made that statement early on. His job is to push for as much as he can, and the presidents are there to keep him in check. The only thing that I personally did not like early on that he did was the discussion of moving the basketball tournament, you know, out of Kansas City and trying to do it to New York or Las Vegas, somewhere where it would be more commercialized, but probably would not be as good of a television product or a fan product, and wouldn't show as well, probably because there'd be a lot of empty seats, I'd imagine, in New York with the fan bases where they're coming from. As far as what he's done with the media, I think the TNT thing has been a good move for the Big 12. As a matter of fact, I can see him, if he wants to decouple the rights, I think that would be an excellent route to take for the basketball only, especially since that network is very, very, very open, losing the NBA, and very experienced with, using that product. Maybe not, in the collegiate aspect, but certainly I think that makes a natural fit. So possibly being able to decouple, you can close the gap a little bit. As far as Matt Hayes talking about if you break off and do, one sport, then you're breaking off everything. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I would think, from a television provider aspect, especially when you think about the sports. And I think even for you, for hockey, if regular season Minnesota wasn't never allowed to play, say, Boston University or Boston College, all the East Coast schools that are a good rivalry. I mean, that you're just taking that and multiplying across many different sports doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And bottom line, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, what the SEC commissioner wants or the Big Ten commissioner wants per se. What really matters is what the people who are paying them gobs and gobs and gobs of money want. That would be the person running the network at ESPN and the person running the network at Fox. And if they decide project that that's going to hurt their ratings, or more importantly, not the ratings, but their advertising revenue possibilities, then it's just not going to happen. Now that brings us up for the third today. I'm sorry, I am dead set against agreeing with you today on the SEC. I think about them and the propaganda publicist machine, which is what I refer to when I think of any ESPN media person or closely associated with ESPN at this point. They are no longer a media person to me, because that's somebody who's objective, whereas they're taking bullet points and sprouting it out into the universe just like a Hollywood agent publicist would do. It's disgusting. I hate it. And more than that, if the SEC, the way they've always operated in the past, if they want something out in the open and blasted, it's usually because they don't have full support for it, and they're trying to either scare somebody into negotiation, or they're trying to sway public opinion because they don't have it at the moment. That's exactly what's going on here. And for the SEC to have a farce, an absolute farce of saying, well, we're going to come up with the penalty phase and the adherence to rules, and say, well, if we don't like the way you're doing it and you don't do it the way as well as we do, then there's going to be hell to pay. Don't make me laugh any harder. Are you kidding me? The SEC coming on the moral high ground of cheating or enforcement, that's an absolute ludicrous joke. It's actually a sick joke. Those guys don't know. What's the saying, Greg? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I mean, come on, give me an absolute break. That's just disgusting. So, as far as I'm concerned, I am completely fed up with the publicity, the scaremongering, all that. What the truth is, Greg, what I truly believe, if the SCORE Act does not pass, and the non-codification on the settlement is a big part of that as well. And I'm going to tell your listeners why. Because if all of these penalties come unwound over the agreement of the back NIL pay for the last 10 years, and they say, okay, we're starting from fresh, we're going to be able to sue people individually, and let's see what happens. What do you think happens when they look at the record of NIL payouts over the last 5 years? You know what two conferences are going to take it the worst? I know. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to be at huge risk, because they're going to have to pay out probably 60, 70%, because they're going to be paying 2 to 3 times higher, because that's what's been published for NIL and NIL penalties. And I am absolutely fine with that. If you're going to pay out the most, you should pay the biggest. It's like we all go to the restaurant. The four of us sit down. We're all friends. We're all buddies. You know, somebody has a bowl. You have a bowl of soup, Greg. I have a salad. And then our friend over here, Mr. Sankey, has a porterhouse steak. And the other guy, the Big Ten guy, Petiti, he has a lobster bisque. You know, and then when the check comes, they say, oh, we're going to split it 4 ways. That's what your slow divorce is. It's, oh my gosh, if this comes unwound, we got to be here so that we can make sure we share the bill when it comes time, so that we can say, oh, everybody's going to throw in together and not just go off by ourselves. Because, you know, it's funny. They're like, oh, well, we're not here to subsidize other people, but we're darn sure willing that you can pay an equal portion of this NIL payout versus us. And I think that's an absolute hypocrisy. And they should have to pay their weight. If they knew they had to pay that, then there's no way in the world they're going to go off by themselves right now. They wouldn't be able to afford it. I mean, the payout's what? Possibly 10 times worse than what the settlement was? They don't have the money for that. Nobody does.
I would agree. There is great risks. Absolutely. Breaking away and screwing up that NCAA house settlement, and more lawsuits are on the way. I agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
But I think they're being serious about their threat, though. But I get it. I know you don't believe it, and that's fine, because I get what you're coming from. It's a big propaganda piece. They're just trying to push people around. I get it.
If this were 10 years ago, I'd be more likely to do it. But you know what my problem is, Greg, and this is truthfully, it's been a couple of years coming. It's been bubbling up ever since the playoff committee, Florida State, ballyhoo, publicity, ESPN push, and all the media guys and all their stuff chose to get rid of the right school getting in because they had their narrative to push.
Yeah.
I don't trust a thing that comes out of the mouths of anybody that works for that corporation other than the score on the damn television set.
Yeah.
So,
all righty, sir.
I'm going to try and calm down and get this stain out of my head from popping.
Beautiful call,
all right,
sir.
Greg.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. All right, Rock Chalk.
Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, K-Town Hawk. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Hold on one second here. One second. Great call. I love that phone call. I love the passionate phone calls. That's what makes this show go, man. When you call, the floor is yours. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. And Tay-Town Hawk, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk just did that. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I loved it. 1 second. We got another super chat we got to get to here. OBD Don. Those cows are cut open by my Cajun brothers for new sauces and soup parts. No, they're not. Those cows that are cut from some device that we don't know that is not being cut by Cajun brothers. Unless the Grays, the aliens are Cajun. And maybe there's a direct line of lineage between the Cajuns and the Grays. We'll talk about that at a later date. Thank you for the $5 holler, OPD Dunn. I want to thank everybody who donated to this program to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Tay-Town Hawk, OPD Dunn, Jacoba Cat, Evil Badger, Kenneth Maynor. I thank you guys so very much appreciate it. I want to thank the incredible phone calls, unbelievable. Again, we covered a lot today. There's more to cover tomorrow. I do not know when that Nashville meeting is, but we believe it did not happen today. It could happen tomorrow. We're going to be covering the reports coming out of that, and we got a lot more to get to in college football in this beautiful week, the second week of March. We did our SEC rankings, quarterback rankings, and I think we nailed it. Jared Curtis, 16. KJ Jackson, 15. George McIntyre, 14. Philo, Simmons, Taylor, Russell, Minchie, Mr. Brown, Mateer, Reed Sellers, Manny Stockton, and of course, Sam Levitt and Mr. Chambliss, number 1 on our PATC quarterback rankings. I want to thank you all for joining us. Before you leave, subscribe to our channel, ring that notification bell, smash the like button, share the video. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.